ब्रह्मोवाच अथा ते मुनयो दृष्ट्वा नयनानन्दभाजनं वैकुण्ठं तद् अधिष्ठानं विकुण्ठं च स्वयं प्रभं। ब्रह्मोवाच अथ ते मुनयो दृष्ट्वा नयनानन्दभाजनं वैकुण्ठं तद् अधिष्ठानं विकुण्ठं च स्वयं प्रभं। ब्रह्मोवाच अथा ते मुनयो दृष्ट्वा नयनानन्दभाजनं वैकुण्ठं तद् अधिष्ठानं विकुण्ठं च स्वयं प्रभं. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms. Brahma Vacha. Lord Brahma said, Atha, now, they, those, Munaya, sages, Drishtva, after seeing, Nayanam, of the eyes, Ananda, pleasure, Bhajanam, producing, Vaikuntham, the Vaikuntha planet, Tat, of him, Adhishthanam, the abode, Vikuntham, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Cha, and Swayam Prabham, self-illuminating. Translation. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode. Purport. The transcendental abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, as stated in Bhagavad Gita and confirmed in this verse, is self-illuminated. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in the spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. This indicates that all the planets are self-illuminated, self-sufficient, and independent. Everything there is complete. Lord Krishna says that once one goes to that Vaikuntha planet, he never returns. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha never return to the material world. But the incident of Jaya and Vijay was a different case. They came to the material world for some time, and then they returned to Vaikuntha. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Putale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishna Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyate Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today morning's Bhagavatam Katha. It is said you're familiar with the words Tirtha and Dhamma. So, Tirtha are considered holy places. And when a person goes there, it has the potency to eradicate all sins. And Dhamma, when we go there, and you serve in the Dhamma, it eradicates the propensity to do sin. So, of course, there are many dhams. There is Mayapur Dham, there is Shri Jagannath Puri Dham, Shri Vrindavan Dham, and the mood with which we go in over there is to serve wherever the name of the Lord is being glorified, and services of so many types. So what we're doing over here is also converting wherever the physical places we are at into Dham, because we are performing the service of listening to Katha, listening to the glories of the holy name. So I'm going to attempt to speak a little bit on this verse and whatever I've heard from so many Vaishnavas in our Sangha, and even from the start of my Hare Krishna journey. So today's verse is a brief description of Vaikuntha, and we'll examine how we could get there. My humble obeisances to Romapad Swami Maharaj, based on his classes that we've had the opportunity to attend. The relevance vis-a-vis this chapter I have prepared based on that. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So before we get into these description of Vaikuntha, let us understand what is Vaikuntha and the background. So Vai is a Sanskrit word which means without. Kuntha is anxiety. So it's a compound word. When it is joined together, Vaikuntha means a place where there is no anxiety. Of course, all of us have a lot of up close and personal experiences with anxiety, different types of anxiety that we go through. So anxiety is not a foreign concept to us. It's very personal, and we have experienced it several times. So what is anxiety? So it is loss of control, is fear. They say fear is this loss of control. All of us, we are in a mistaken, or what they say, we are here in the material world as a place of illusion, that which it is not. We want to be controllers, we want to be little Ishwaras. However, we are really not the controller, we are being controlled. So that illusion of loss of control brings about some fear. Oh, what will happen to me? What will happen to, mine? Things like that. So that loss brings about fear. And from that, this anxiety comes. So anxiety is we are thinking about things that haven't happened, or we think may happen because of this loss of control. And it is quite debilitating anxiety. It could get into severe cases where literally it paralyzes you. You can't breathe. You can't think straight. You can't do anything. So both at the physical and mental level, it is quite detrimental to a person's well-being, the anxiety. Then why anxiety comes is because of this ignorance. We don't know who we are. We are the spirit soul. The soul can never be harmed. If we see Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, sword can't cut it, wind can't dry it, water can't wet it, fire can't burn it. Soul remains as is. You can't take anything out of the soul. You can't add anything to the soul. Soul is as is. But because we consider ourselves to be this body, which is temporary, and it is always changing, It is always changing from whatever it is initial state to the final state. When the soul leaves the body, that's called death. It's always changing. And this change that we identify with, we want things to remain as is. Why? Because we are the spirit soul. But our ignorance identifies with this body, so things are changing. We are averse to change. And this is our ignorance, the misidentity, not knowing what we are. And this ignorance brings about this sense of control, then the loss of control, fear, anxiety. So from ignorance, what happens is we get into this illusion. We get into this illusion. I'm the body. I'm the controller. This is mine. I'm the proprietor. I'm the enjoyer. Things like that. So the misidentity that I'm the body, I'm the controller. And from there, the fear starts, because that's not what we really are. Our capacities and our capabilities is very little. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to swallow a lot much more. Obviously, it is not possible. So that fear comes about, and then we get anxiety. So if we deconstruct this thing about anxiety, we can see that ignorance is the root cause. And then all this, what you see around the spoke and hub, is the effects, what happens of ignorance. Now, if we see here, we are the jiva, and in this, the anxiety, all the time, from the time of a birth, we have this anxiety. Old age is a state of anxiety, disease, death. Of course, all of us someday will pass away, not may pass away, will pass away. His Holiness Romapad Maharaj has said, there will come a day when you go to sleep in your bed, but you won't awaken, or you get up from your bed, but you won't go back to sleep in that bed, meaning to say the soul will leave the body. So all the time through this entire cycle that the jiva is going in is anxiety filled. So this is the background on anxiety and the situation we are in. Now, why this is the case? You see, Romapad Maharaj says is that recently in his Japa retreat a couple of months ago, we don't have faith in Krishna. Yes, there is some level of faith, but we haven't fully surrendered. All of us are on the path of surrender. Different devotees are at different degrees of surrender. Some are surrendering at a very rapid pace, some not so rapidly. Some surrender and then go back and then again pull forward, whatever be that case. But it is not 100%. You know, there is still this tinge of the self to be in that. So we don't take shelter. And that's one of the main reasons that we can't even concentrate when we're doing japa. The mind is running here and there because we haven't taken shelter of Krishna. His Holiness Dhanurdhar Maharaj has explained what is shelter. Shelter is a place where all your needs can be met. That is shelter. And we know from work we have our homes. The home is a shelter. The home protects us from the elements. So if it is raining, it is very cold or very hot, you know, the home provides some kind of a relief to whatever may be the situation. So that is shelter, one kind of physical shelter, but there's also different types of shelter which is there. So shelter is the place where our needs can be met, and Krishna being complete, all our needs can be met over there. Our spiritual, of the body, the needs can be met, the mental, psychological, whatever, emotional. He's Akhila Rasa Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of rasas. Literally everything can be met over there. However, because of this ignorance, you know, we have more faith in our own abilities than in Krishna. And of course, we have seen in the earlier slide what happens, you know, that ignorance brings about anxiety. So what is Vaikuntha now? So the first slide, if you remember, it says Vai and Kuntha, a place of no anxiety. So we are here full of anxiety, and there is this place which has no anxiety. So it is the place where Vishnu, Shri Vishnu resides. These are the spiritual planets, the higher system. So Vishnu is no different. He is absolute. There is no difference between his physical self, his dham, his abode, his name, his paraphernalia. That's what it means to be absolute. So he is perfect. So how can imperfections like anxiety or ignorance be in his abode? Because that abode is non-different than he is. So what it says, we have read in today's purport, also in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, it is self-sufficient and self-illuminated. Now we have experience of illumination. The illumination we have is like, let's say, the physical light that we get from electricity. When the sun sets, when the sun is there, we get the light from the sun. In the evening, it is the moon which is giving us light. In our homes, it is the electricity which is providing us light. But this is not the case. It's just the effulgence that is coming from Vishnu's body illuminates. Self-sufficient is it is not dependent on anything else. It is spiritual. It is not dependent on anything else. Over here, we depend on so many things, just for our existence. To breathe, we need air. To eat, we need food. The sun, the gravity holds us in orbit and things like that. So it is self-sufficient, independent. That's one of the, independence is one of the attributes of truth, and Vishnu is the absolute truth. So it is eternal. So if we see here, we can see it is leading to a place which is the definition of the absolute truth. Brahma Samhita says this place is, every word is a song and every gate is a dance. So this is a brief description. Go on and on. It is infinite. It won't be enough simply because Vishnu, Krishna, is infinite. Now, if we see a little bit more, all this put together, you don't have anxiety. Where all your needs are met, what anxiety can be there? There is no fear because there's no ignorance. Everyone is full in knowledge. So there is no anxiety, no illusion. We know who we are. Jivera Swarup Hoy, Nityara Krishnera Nityadas. Everyone is engaged in service to Krishna. No birth and death cycle. This birth and death cycle is a characteristic of the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no birth and death. It's exactly opposite of the material world. No hankering and lamentation. Why? Because everything is met. Over here, we have hankering and lamentation. Oh, I want this, I want that. All this and that, you don't get it. Some of it you get, some of it you don't get. What you don't get, you start lamenting for. Oh, I tried my best, but still I couldn't get it. Oh, I wish my child was like this. Oh, I wish it was like that. All this thing, the more attachment to things we have, the more anxiety and more pain is what it will give us. My Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he has said, we're all trying to be happy, but happiness we're finding in things. We're finding in things, whatever it be. And that gives us temporary kind of a joy, but there's no satisfaction. That's why we're looking for the next shiny things. So Guru Maharaj says, happiness is not what you have. Happiness is what you can do without. If I have a posh luxury car, great. If I have a broken down used car, that is also fine. I'm not attached to these things. Be attached to the right thing. The right thing is what we should be attached to. Be attached to all things that are spiritual. So the consciousness, when we elevate it, these very same material things, when we say that, fine, I can use this in service of Krishna and Krishna's, that thing which becomes a source of nuisance or temporary joy and, again, nuisance and lamentation, that is taken away from that. Literally everything, whatever we are using in our day-to-day lives, if we use it in pleasure of Krishna with that consciousness, be aware, Krishna consciousness. So Vaikuntha, there's no hankering and no lamentation. And what happens when there's no hankering and lamentation? It's just a state of permanent bliss. So this is what Vaikuntha is, a very, very brief description. Now, how do we get there? So we've understood where we are at. And then we learn from Guru Sadhu Shastra that there is this place. So naturally, a person, any sensible person, would always try to improve his status quo. We're all doing that even today. We're all trying to improve our status quo. So how can we get there from point A to point B? There is one and only one method and no other method. Just one method. That method is bhakti. Bhakti means loving devotional service. Loving devotional service. So this thing, bhakti, is a very simple process, but because of a material consciousness, we complicate it. It becomes very complicated. It becomes very difficult. It doesn't become spontaneous. Actually, that's who we are. We are all devotees. That's what our position is. What does loving mean? Loving is this uninterrupted, unmotivated, unconditional. We have some idea of love in this material world, some idea, but it is not fully unmotivated, or it is not unconditional or uninterrupted. We can say we are part-time lovers, part-time. As long as my thing is met, then that's great. And then there is divorce. I was reading the statistics and it is frightening worldwide. Two people get together and they decide to spend the rest of their life together. And, it ends up in divorce through the legal system. What happened to love? Love is something which is permanent. It is eternal. So we can understand that, that loving is, we're trying to love Krishna and Krishnas. Then devotion is whole, total focus, nothing else, nothing up, down, besides, nothing. It's just laser focus in whatever it is that we are doing. So with that bhava and service is the platform. Seva is the platform on which love is expressed. Seva is the platform on which love is expressed. So Krishna consciousness, bhakti, is a very dynamic process. It's very dynamic. It's not just thoughts, it's with our words, it's with our deeds, our action. So it's very simple. Prabhupada has said, for example, if you don't feel enthusiastic, you're feeling bored, you're feeling lazy, act enthusiastically. You may not feel it, but act enthusiastically. So I have to go to the temple, or I have to do this. It happens, right? Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So instead of letting that weigh us down, just get out of that inertia and Hari Bol, Prabhu, how are you? What can I do to serve you? Then automatically, if you don't feel enthusiastic, Prabhupada says, act enthusiastic, and then you become enthusiastic. It happens, literally. Try it out. When we sit down to do our japa and we say that, I have to finish 16 rounds, and whatever it is. Instead of that way, the mindset, if we say that, I get this opportunity to do japa. This is my personal time with Krishna. Act enthusiastically, then automatically we become enthusiastic. So that is what the bhakti is all about. Loving, devotional, service. 3 words, keep it in mind. And anything that we're doing, keep these 3 things in mind. Then it becomes meaningful, is what Ramapad Maharaj says. So the ABCDs of bhakti. When we are in association, what association does is it gives us the support, it gives us the knowledge, it gives us the encouragement, it gives us the inspiration in association. On our own, it is not possible. On our own, it is not possible to get out of the clutches of Maya. So here we have the association. Then the books is with what is the basis on which we understand. How would we know what is Vaikuntha? And it is this place which is self-illuminated, where every word is a song, every gate is a dance, and it is eternal bliss. no anxiety, no. How do we know this? How do we know this? It's not just it has come to us by magic. All this information and a lot much more is compiled in the books, the Shastras. Shastras as it is, of course, many people now put their own 2 cents and interpret it, not those books, but the books which are coming as is. So these are the books which give us knowledge, and knowledge is like a sword which cuts down all this illusion that we have. It cuts down all the illusion that we have. So there's association, there's book, there's chanting. Actually, all we need is chanting. Everything else that we're doing is to support the quality of this chanting, the intensity of this chanting. We have to reach that stage where when we finish japa, we should feel a sense of dejection that, oh, I have to go and do other things. Right now, at least with me, when I finish my quota, I have a sense of relief, not grief. Thank you. I was able to maintain my vow. Well, of course, keep doing it. Prabhupada said that offensive chanting, the cure is to keep chanting. The effect is happening. So there is this chanting. Chanting is japa. Chanting is doing kirtan, the holy name, calling out to the holy name. Shravanam Kirtanam. We're also talking about Krishna. We're engaging in Kirtanam, glorification. And then, of course, the diet and deity worship. The diet is so that we can control our behavior. It's all with this mind. The mind is very chanchal, it's very turbulent, running on this and that all the time. So when we have a proper diet, the process of bhoga, offering bhoga, and then eating prasadam, that helps control the mind. That helps keep it focused. Remember, focus, devotion, single-minded focus. And deity worship makes it personal. Otherwise, it is abstract. Deity worship is a personal thing. And that love with which we can reciprocate. Love is reciprocal. However, for the beloved, the person who loves the object of the love, it doesn't matter whether he or she loves me back or no. That is love, unconditional. If I'm loving you because you love in Mac, I'm doing this for you because you'll do this for me. That is more, it's not pyar, it is vyapar, transaction. So this is how we could processes Prabhupada and the Acharyas have given us, by which we can go back to Godhead, Vaikuntha. This is Srila Prabhupada's quote. There's no difference between the kingdom of God and seva. Since both of them are on the absolute plane to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. So see how beautiful this is. Sitting here in this material world, we have this opportunity to serve, So next time when the opportunity to serve comes, we should be jumping up and down. John Kennedy was asked in an interview with Life magazine. At a very young age, he earned a lot of success. He was extremely successful. So the reporter asked him that, what do you attribute your success to? So he says, I jump at every opportunity. So the reporter asked, but how do you know when opportunity knocks on your door? He says, I don't, but I'm jumping all the time. You get the point? He's jumping all the time. And that same attitude, if we can apply it in our bhakti, when there is the opportunity to serve, we should not look at the convenience. Bhakti Tir Swami Maharaja said that when the desire to serve exceeds one's ability, think about this, when the desire to serve, it is so intense that it even exceeds our ability, that's when empowerment happens. That's when the empowerment, the divine empowerment happens. Krishna and the Acharyas, they make the arrangements such that it will get done. So seva is that platform. It is like our, visa to get to Vaikuntha. Thank you, everybody, for your kind attention. If there is any correction, any mistakes, please do so. Any questions, we could post it on the Bhagavad Sevaya group. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Over to you, Madhupati Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Amritananda Prabhu. We will like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. The Prana time today is from 6:29 to 10:46 a.m. Today is also the appearance of Lord Vamana, Vaman Dwadasi, and the appearance of Jiva Goswami. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. China Singho, Jaina Singho, Jai Jaina Singho, Prahladesh, Jai Padma Mukha
Vikram
Kaviram
Vikram
Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvato Mukham Arjanyam Vishnam Bhajam
Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai,
Jai.
Prabhupada Maharaj ki
Jai.
Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the small Vaishnavas, Mancha Kalpataru,
Kalpatarupasya Kripa Sindhu
Vaishnavibhyo
Vaishnavibhyo Namah.
Navinda ki Jai,
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai,
Jai.
La Prabhupada ki Jai,
Jai.
Gaur Premanande,
Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you, Amritananda Prabhu.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
all. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Vaman Dwadashi. Hare Krishna.